Hello and good evening. Welcome to the numerous joys of block carving, rambling about shading with your friend Konrad Einhold. That's me. I'm your friend Konrad Einhold, and this isn't any sort of structured lesson or anything like that. This is literally just me rambling about shading. The Trimaris I Did a Thing challenge of the month was about light, dark, illumination techniques, painting, shading, whatever. So I slapped together my favorite, honestly, not even my favorite, just a whole bunch of photos I had in my computer of block printing references, and we're going to go through them, and I'm just going to ramble about them, and we're going to have a little bit of fun. So some disclaimers before I get started here. This is the 30th of the month. This is a monthly challenge. I honestly just ran out of time. I had good ambitions of pulling the names of the artists and the years of the pieces of art, but I didn't. These are just ones I bulk downloaded over the years from the National Gallery of Art or the Met. Now these two art sources, while they're lovely to visit in person, they also have really, really good online archives of sources. You can download them, high resolution downloads for free public domain use, and that's what I did. I saved a lot of them to my computer with really useless names like 1520 crucifix or funny nipple guy. You'll see that one later. It's an image from marginalia. So they're really just I didn't get them appropriate names. I have to go back and do that. This isn't a super formal video. Along that note as well, if I'm incorrect about any of this information, if I give a wrong date or wrong name, if I somehow let an engraving or an etching slip through here in my blindness, just please, please forgive me. I am not a professional teacher. I'm just really passionate about this stuff. This is just a really amateur info dump for your entertainment and just a fun thing to sip a few glasses of wine, watch along to. This really isn't that educational. This is, again, just a Conrad rambling. That being said, if you want to ramble with me and just talk about random stuff like this, you can email me. It's conradeinhold@gmail.com. I'll try my best to reply. Really, the best way you can nerd out with me about this stuff is find me at a Trimaris event, most of the artsci ones. I'm at a lot of Trimaris rapier events too, but don't take me off the rapier field to talk about this because, while I do love it, I will talk for 3 hours and completely forget about the tournament. So, that being said, this is really just a bunch of fun for me. This is think of this as walking through an art gallery with your friend. Your friend, it's me, Conrad. I'll just be walking through a bunch of photos I've gotten giving really amateur commentary on him. And I'm trying to use this PowerPoint system for the first time, and it's got this laser pointer thing. So we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. So again, this is your time to make yourself a margarita or two or three or five. It's a lot more fun if you do that. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be rambling for like 30 minutes. So buckle in. First of all, I put a few together that have no shading. So what way better to talk about shading techniques used in period woodcuts than talk about ones that didn't use shading or didn't use much shading? So let's start about that. And also, I just put this PowerPoint together. I really don't remember what order I put the slides in. I put this all together tonight. Bear with me if I forget what's going on. So this image first here, I like this image. This is really pretty to me. There's really not much shading going on here. You do just get the wraps of the bandages and all that here. You do get this dark area, but there's really not shading happening. There's lines, you see the bricks, but there's not shading happening. And I included both these ones here because you can tell this isn't a skill issue. This is really, all the lines are the same thickness. It's a very skillful piece. And look at this gorgeous black work. I'd love to see this on a scroll. This is gorgeous. I actually did a version of that 1A there a while ago. I love it. It's beautiful, but we're really not starting with much cutting here. This is probably one of the earlier style ones. I do like this elegance for what it is, but no shading. This is a fun one here. I posted this image on the left of these lizards to the Block Printing Guild. Obviously, no shading there, just some lines. A lot of these very simple little creature ones don't really have much. So I included this image on the right of this cute little image of some birds I found. I love the swan. I don't know how these ones are. I think it's an owl. I don't know what a couse is. Adler. I think it's a falcon. I don't know anything about this at all, but I included these because there's some little creatures that have no shadings, little creatures that have minimal shading. This is just their fur. You see some shading on this owl here. They really rendered the owl in higher resolution. Honestly, I mean, I'm not teaching you anything these initial slides. I'm just showing you some pretty images and rambling over them, but I think this is some very cute birds and creatures. This image I like, kind of don't like. To me, it feels very unfinished. It's not. This is the finished piece. There's just really no shading. Now, that being said, I do like the balance of the light and the darks. The visual weight of this piece is pretty nice. I wish I had written down who did it in what period and in what area. Again, most of these are probably early 1500s German. I don't know about this one, but again, rambling here. I don't love this one a lot. I feel like the border I could do really nice as a pen and ink scroll. It's just not my personal taste and style woodcut wise. I like to see more shading than this. But the one thing I did like about this is if you look at this corner here, this marginalia guy, the funny nipple guy, um, or girl, I really don't know the gender of this individual. Maybe I really don't know looking at it. Maybe that's a long-haired braid. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's some curve there. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I just found it funny that they really added a lot of detail to those nipples in this piece here. Not really needed, but they really went in on that. So I saved this as nipple guy in my computer. Another image here, coincidentally, also has nipples in it. This is a medical examination image that I just had randomly saved. That was getting some medical image research for my tattoo artist friend earlier. But this one also has pretty much no shading. If this was an actual image, you would expect to see some shading on the floor here beneath this. I chose this image for this PowerPoint because you would expect, again, photography-wise, to have some shading on the floor. There's no shading on the floor. It's just the shape of the tiles. A lot of these kind of pieces really just went for the shape of what is involved, and there's really no aspect of light or dark whatsoever. We're just not even remotely getting into light or dark. It's just the images. So we're seeing these outfits, we're seeing the folds in the outfits, but no shading in the outfits. Here's an image again. Shading question mark. I mean, we have technically some shading on this donkey here. I just included it because I like some. I really do like some of this really simplistic earlier style. This is a little angel guy. I put him in here because I'm going to show a lot more angel art later. Big fan of angel motifs, so I've got a lot of those saved. And they come up a lot in woodcut art. So I wanted to show a little bit earlier one with no shading. Again, sort of a little introductory mooch booch before we get to the major ones here. Another good example of some simpler pieces with no shading is a bunch of these cards. These are some Italian playing cards. I want to say mid 1400s. I like them. They're very novel and cute. I did a series of scrolls inspired by it. Really no shading. Again, under this table, no shading. We get the folds of the outfits, no shading. I wouldn't call any of that shading. We get the areas of what things are, but that's all it is. There's no shading involved here. So not all woodcuts actually involve shading. That being said, let's get into shading. I love talking about shading. Let's talk about shading. This is again kind of haphazardly put together, but just some thoughts about directions I had of shading. So this is a pretty simple piece. I don't love this piece at all. There's really nothing here for me. I don't care about the motifs here. I don't like this piece really much at all, to be honest. Just kind of complaining about this piece. I just dislike the spacing on that floor. It's not very crisp and precise. Please hold tight. We're going to get into some crisp and precise ones later, but well, this one really didn't do much for me artistically. I don't even like how the faces look. None of them. I just don't like this piece at all. It does serve a pretty good example for some really clear images, the primer at least for the shading directions. Now, something you'll see here a lot is that often I see, especially with the earlier stuff, they keep this really nice visual balance, which I can admire by focusing heavily on these 45-degree angles. It's very 45-degree angles. So I tried to highlight some of the angles here going on. We have the floor, obviously that's horizontal. This archway does go around the archway itself, but the shading otherwise is very 45-degree angle. It's simplistic architectural, yes, but you also get on some of this architecture that upward 45 degrees, their outfits 45 degrees. It makes it a really easy, crisp way to see it. What this artist just didn't give to me in terms of precision on the lines and even spacing, and I hate what's going on with how they did the floors here. They did really do it for me in terms of it's all those beautiful 45-degree angles. No, ignore what's going on in some of these outfits here, but I love the 45s. Getting to this image here, this has a lot that I really like. I'm a big skeleton fan. I really like what I'm seeing here. I love how even and beautiful the spacing on these lines are. I love it, the packed together here, less packed together here, but let's get into the beautiful part here. This architecture, oh my God. So I did some different colors here to highlight this for you. We see less of the strict 45-degree angle thing. Now, we mentioned the 45-degree angle thing. I see that a lot. I just didn't choose a lot of examples. This one here, I'm just highlighting a bunch of different angles here. Is it balanced? Is it not? Up to you. But we do get some pretty even spacing, some pretty even lines. I think this is a really sexy piece. I like the architectural elements going on here, and I'm going to get into more architectural ones and more sexy ones later. I just wanted to start off with a little bit of a primer of when I'm showing you all these pieces, I want you to look at the angles of all the lines. That's a huge thing for me in terms of the visual weight and the organization and keeping it not looking too muddled. Now I'm going to get at something super sexy. I love this piece so much. Oh my God. Subject matter, who cares, right? I don't care. Some kings, who cares about that? I really don't care about that. But ooh, the lines are so geometrically crisp. It really reminds me of some later digital art kind of rendering stuff. I'm going to show this image, I think, several times throughout the course of this little presentation, but I think this is just gorgeous. I love how the lines are done here. Let's look a little bit, zoom in here on these lines. Look at that delicious even spacing. That is beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. Those are like computer perfect lines. Oh my God. Look, I just get mad when I look at this and how perfect this is for me. Now we're gonna see other perfect ones, but this is just ooh. Then I'm gonna highlight here. These ones are kind of a 45. This isn't a 100% perfect 45, but we do see a lot of that earlier image I showed you, those people in the room that I didn't love as much with the floor shading, but we get, again, a lot of the visual balances that we're not going in too many directions, a lot of the 45s. Here's another image here. This one, it's not the greatest copy of the image, but you can also see, please, look at the lines of it all. You see a lot of visual lines. They're not all at 45s, but the main one here, you're seeing this 45-degree angle. I do really love the spacing we have going on here. The spacing here, it's spread out. It's crisp, it's even, it's very pretty yet again. Looking at some of these lines here, you see that beautiful 45-degree angle, and it's not that weighty or busy on the mind. I think it's pretty coherent, the lines we have here. It's really visual. We're getting the main piece has some upward movement. It's a dancing piece. The movement really works. You see a lot of the use of these angles of the lines when you want to encourage movement. We're going to get some sun ray aspects later, some curved lines later, but I really do like the movement of this piece. We're going up and over. We're going around in this circle here. I think we are going in this direction, the circle. Yeah, look at his foot. It's going this way. We are going clockwise this way. So if you look at it, we're going clockwise in the circle of dancing, and the rays go this way. If the rays went that way, it might look a little different effect for dancing. I'm just speculating as I go here, but really love how they did the angles of the lines. I think it's really cool. Again, beautiful spacing here. I really like it. Another subject matter that I love, Death in the Lands Connect. There's hundreds of Death in the Lands Connect images out there. You're going to see a lot of skeletons if you're getting into German woodcuts. So skeleton fans, you are in for numerous delights. But this one I really like here. Again, there's that beautiful spacing I'm a big fan of, and we're getting that beautiful angles there, the angles, but we're starting into the swoop aspect. This isn't just straight line, this is a swoop. Now, PowerPoint won't let me go back in the slides, but the swoop of his garment here I did a bad job drawing it in Microsoft Paint, but it does continue to this board thing behind him. That's very visually clean. I really like it. You get a similar thing going on with his shirt here. This swoop is almost together. And I want to point out here, we're getting some more. You're getting a lot more curves. So it's not just like those earlier images, just straight lines. We start seeing some curves on the boots. I really enjoy doing this for pen and ink scribble. A lot of the curves. Obviously, the ground is an organic firm with some curves, but we see less architectural elements and more of these curves on the bodies. And my point in this was not to show that there are curves, but that the curves connect past it. So in earlier ones, which I can't go back to, some of those 45-degree angles would be the same on different objects in the room, but in the same degree. We're getting some more complex vector geometry here with some curves to it where they are overlapping there. And I think that really helps with the visuals of the piece when there is that kind of cohesion upon multiple layers. Oh, I skipped some sort of slide there. I pressed the button too many times. Don't know what I did there. I think I pressed the button that said I was getting into the curves and straight lines. So we're just going to hope it stays coherent because PowerPoint won't let me go backwards. Yeah, I think this was trying to go in this section called curves, straight lines, just rambling about stuff for a hot minute here. So this piece, also love it. Before I get into the technicality of this piece, I want to talk about what this piece is. This is Eve. I don't know. This is Adam and Eve getting kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Obviously, you see they're getting kicked out, they're naked, and what we're seeing here is Saint Michael, most likely. This is one of my favorites. I'm a big fan of Saint Michael imagery. It's a beautiful angel with swords. What do you want? But this one here, he's got like a long sword and dagger combo. Incredible, incredible. Oh, maybe an arming sword and dagger. Maybe a wooden stake. I don't know. I love that he has got an offhand here. And as he's kicking Adam and Eve out of the garden, what's that? Hurdy-gurdy skeleton. God, before God made man, God made the hurdy-gurdy skeleton and positioned the hurdy-gurdy skeleton somewhere in the garden so to play Scooby-Doo chase music when they're getting kicked out. This is just, I love the subject matter. But going back to the piece itself, I really like the visual weight again in this, the ratio of light to dark. I'll get into talk about the ratio of light to dark later, but I just love the ratio of light to dark here. And here we're seeing almost no straight lines. So forget about how cool the skeleton is for a second. Let's talk about the lines. All of these are wavy lines, and they're not just curves. They're not just curves. They are, let me see if the PowerPoint we do, it's this sort of like a swoopy shape here we're getting. That was not good. I'll go back to the regular laser pointer. But even these, all these little curve cuts, they're not straight line cuts. These are all little curves up and down. Everything is moving. Now, remember what I was talking about, that dance piece where there's some movement happening? There's a lot of movement happening here. They're running out. But we're also seeing these coherent curves here where it goes up and down. It's all in a line. That beautiful spacing behind that skeleton. Beautiful even spacing. Michael up here, we're getting some swoops. Everything is swoopy and curvy. There's no straight 45-degree angle lines. And while it's really, 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 really visually pretty here, I think none of it's relying on that architectural geometry. This one, I think this is a woodcut. I'm pretty sure it's a woodcut. If I messed up somehow it's an engraving or an etching, don't sue me. They use pretty much the same techniques anyhow. So they're all really comparable in style influences, and I've been influenced by a lot. And so is Durr. I'm forgetting his name right now, but Durr was a big studier of a lot of the engravings and etchings. I forget the guy. Why am I forgetting his name? I'll go back to it. Martin something. This one here I wanted to talk about. There's a lot of curves here, obviously. It's a lot more complicated of a piece. But I wanted to zoom in here where we're seeing these really mixed, we're seeing a lot of more complicated mixed stuff going on here. I don't love it as much as the others, but I do like it. Here's our classic best friend in the world, 45-degree angles contrasting with the vertical and horizontal. Best friend is those 45 degrees, utter staple to me. I love it when that happens. So we are seeing a lot of these curves, which I see a lot in garments, because it's stunning. It's gorgeous in the garments. Of course, garments are moving. They're not going to have that architectural 45 straight degree angles, but we are seeing this table, I believe it is, behind them. We're seeing these different shading types. And we're also seeing shading in a bunch of different directions and different types. So we're seeing this one here is not a perfect grid of straight angles. The angles change. So we're getting different beams. They change. We're getting some pretty nice diamonds here, but it's not the same. So this one keeps a pretty same one. The spacing's not as luxurious, but this one has, that kind of same angle to angle. This is different angles changing all the way. Lots of curves, some intersections, some not. There's a lot of different stuff going on here. I could talk for 20 minutes about that, but I just want to peek at it for a second. This one here I wanted to show is one that I just didn't like that much. Subject matter is interesting. We got, obviously Christ on the cross here and some various medieval torture elements or whatever's going on there. I didn't really look at this closer. Is that a tooth plier? Jesus. No pun intended. But I didn't like this piece a lot. I did want to show it because it has a lot of that mixed aspects. I just didn't like it a lot. We got this wood grain thing. You'll see wood grains. We got this, our friend, the 45-degree angle in contrast. So we got this line, and these ones are in 45-degree angle contrast. We got that. We got these swoopy curves, which admittedly, nice even pacing. We got a different wood grain here. We got this sort of thicker body one here. I don't think they're thicker carving lines. I think it's an ink thing that looks like an ink blobs. Here we got some of the body, the fabric curves. I just don't love it as much as that previous Angels piece, but we are seeing a similar element of all these different types of shading of lines happening. Now this is a fun piece later. I'm pretty sure this is, I don't know. This is Durr or somebody heavily inspired by Durr. I could probably swear this is him, and if it's not, I'm fooled. Call me out for being a poser. Or no, it is. It is right there. That's his logo. That's his logo, the little D in the shape thing. That's him. I think it's an A and a D because his name was Albrecht. I think it's pronounced Durr. I don't know how to pronounce it. Don't ask me. I shouldn't have gotten into that. But there, yep, that's him. He's my favorite boy in all of woodcut carving. I love him to bits and pieces. Adore him. Oh my God. Favorite stuff ever. But that being aside, let's look at this piece. Subject matter, crazy, right? Love this. I believe this is a St. Catherine because you can see the wheel here and she's being killed. As with a lot of Renaissance depictions of execution machines, including a lot of saints and Jesus, The guy doing the execution was like always sexy posing. A lot of ones where he's being crucified, there's like sexy lance connects happening. But aside from that going on here, beautiful, beautiful piece. We're getting into this later absolute mastery. There's some beams, there's these shadings, but I want to do this for a compare and contrast later. If we look here at this earlier piece and this piece, both of them are very busy, and I'm not shading this piece at all. Pun intended. I'm not shaming this piece at all. I just want to compare some techniques used in this because the subject matter is not the same, but the amount of busyness is comparable. We got the background, we got the people all here. You know, this is a lot more landscape than people, but we have a very, it's comparable in a sense. Foreground people. But if you look at this one, this earlier one, it's almost exclusively those straight lines. Even on the garments, it's pretty straight lines. And it looks very stiff. This is looks, you look at the faces, it's very similar to that medieval. I probably bet you this is a 1400s piece. I'm putting my money on 1470. Yeah, 1470 I'll put my money on. I'll look it up later. But I'm going to compare these two together here. Let's look at this. So the subject matter here, we're doing these hose. It's straight, and these are very straight, rigid legs. Love the poses and still. I love this piece still. Absolutely, look at the little fun trumpet guy. But when we look at this one, these beautiful, beautiful cross hatchings, which we see here similarly, but we're getting straight lines and curved lines on this guy's leg. And of course, it looks way more modern and dynamic. We're getting some curves here, but not a ton of curves. We're just the amount, I don't know. This is a very similar situation here. Someone who's better than me at teaching or knowing things can probably explain this in better terms, but I just wanted to have a little visual lookaroo at this here and kind of compare contrast it for a second, where we see a lot of this stuff but at different levels. And I will say, obviously, Durr is more skilled than the guy on the right. Sue me, whatever, I don't care. Um, Look at this table here. This is a mess. This is a mess. It's not a huge mess. I couldn't do better. Then look at this. Look at that. It's like you used a digital tablet almost. It's so precise. But I do like the sort of diamond-y thing they did here. I do like this. I've done very similar kind of ones before. This is with the shading and pen and ink I've done to replicate the style. It's very classical. We got these X's on the lines here, downwards on that, very consistent. But we don't have the same consistency here. Downwards here, upwards here, just altogether more admiration into detail in the anatomy. Now, I will note, Durer was a huge fan of anatomy, specifically male anatomy, and I won't get into that, but he also made a fencing manual. He was really all about it, and you can tell and how much detail he put into, you know, the calves of this random unnamed executioner. This isn't his most important piece. I really recommend looking at more of his stuff. This is just one I had on my computer because I thought the outfit was cool. Similar piece here. I don't have the larger one saved. I think, I don't know with this one. I'll get into this later, but let's look at these legs here. Also, lots of different directions of these cuts, different swirls. I don't love it as much, but we get a lot of the swirls in the legs. The calves are kind of weird, but it's really, really obviously very talented, these beautiful cuts. Got a little bone here. Love a little gothic bone moment. Beautiful cross hatching here. Beautiful, beautiful. Lots of different directions. We're getting straight lines. We're getting curves. We're getting curves. There's a lot of attention on the anatomy and using these curves to suggest so much muscle. It's really impressive. This one's Durr again here. As opposed to talking about the curves, obviously I've shown you already. You know how to look for the curves and the horizontals. I wanted to pay attention to this part behind him. We're doing this pretty similar flat horizontal shading, but it's clustered together here more for darkness. And I like that a lot because we're getting, I really wanted to put together an image of different hair portrayals and I just forgot to do it. Honestly, I'm realizing that now, but we can focus on the lightness of this guy's hair because the background behind him is darker than the rest. If the background behind him near the hair was as light as this, it wouldn't be as good visually. So we're seeing, side note, even aside from the curves, the shading getting more close together. Really love that. But again, just beautiful. Our beautiful 45-degree angle shading, our beautiful curves, just lovely. And he looks a lot like me, and I'm very vain, so I'm a big fan of that. Flashback to this one here. More aspect on the curves, not a ton of detail going on the thighs, but I think this is a fun piece. I did a scroll inspired by this for an SCA context, but I just think it's fun. I got all these fencer guys, got all these swooping curves. Kind of a callback to earlier where a lot of the curves are very similar across different pieces. And a callback to the angel piece we just saw one slide ago, where the density of the shading would increase to indicate darkness. Now, we'll go back to darkness later on stuff. We're back to this piece. We are back to this piece, talking about lines on bodies and curves and density of shading. let's talk about the density of shading going on here. While it goes over this king guy's pattern, this is also extremely hard to do because he's carving the lines and stopping at all of it. Beautiful, beautiful work. We talked about this architectural section here. Let's talk about the clothes and the shading as well. Oh my God, look at that. We're not getting that much difference in line types. We're not getting a ton of swoopy curves or differences here. It's pretty similar, but this is just precision porn to me. This is gorgeous. Again, I get mad when I look at this piece. This is just, look at the spacing on the hems. Oh my, not the hems, it's the fabric. Oh, it's incredible. I really, really am a fan of the technical precision going on in this piece, and we're looking another way to do this fabric where there's not that much showy curves, it's just showing of the precision. Oh my God. All right, let's get out of here. This one here, another fabric one. We're seeing some curves, not anything crazy. I just love the skeleton helping her get ready. Probably in period, this is meant to be because she's gonna die. It's probably, I don't know, probably something like a bride dying or something. I don't know. I didn't look into it. I forgot which piece this was, but I'm a big fan of skeletons. Wanted to bring this one up because again, I just had it in my thing. You probably should put it in a different order in the slides, but the 45s, the architectural elements, the curves on the thing. While this one isn't as crazy overdone like the Durer ones I saw you earlier, it is, we got some even spacing. I like that. We got some curves. We got this thickerness of shading here for those parts. I think this is a really well done piece. I really do like it. Another one, either by the same artist or a similar type, we see some backgrounds. Look, the 45-degree angles contrasting with the vertical or squigglies, little S shapes here. The fabric, the concentration of lines closer together for the darkness. Working the same things. This is a great skeleton here. I've seen people get tattoos of this skeleton or very similar skeletons. And then let's contrast that lady's hem of her skirt there to that beautiful one I was talking about earlier. Similar technique, very similar technique, rather similar garment in a way with the thickness of the folds here. Um, at this point, I don't even need to explain it. This really speaks for itself, all my thoughts on the matter. Getting into a couple fun ones that are architectural but kind of whimsical to me. There's some big old castle scenes. It's definitely a whimsical piece. Obviously, this is not how style actually is. This is almost Dr. Seuss to me. It's very dreamy. Obviously, these knights back here are not the size of a tower. It's fun. But we're seeing, we got these architectural ones, but the towers are leaning. It's not all straight up. There's a lot of wisps and curls and rivers and such, so it's not as strict and geometric. I think it's a very fun piece. And here's another one a lot like it. It's kind of warpy. It's kind of weird. We see this really fine shading over here overlapping with the details, kind of like that the pattern on that like regal guy's outfit in the court earlier. We're seeing some of that here, and I like that sort of very angel hair thin shading. We got other stuff. I didn't really have much to say about this. I just thought it was really whimsical and fun. This one, ooh, I believe this is a depiction. Yeah, this is a depiction of Christ descending into hell after he got crucified, and he's going down and is forgiving some sinners or whatever. Um, Ooh, this is a really unique piece because the background is so unbusy and it's so shaded. I've seen some background pieces where it's just blank white, but this is a background of just shading. This is the flex of the shading. It's all these perfect little diamonds. Well, not quite perfect, but mostly perfect. These perfect little diamonds to represent this darkness here. Now, I was going to use this for image later, talk about darkness and shading and halos, but I wanted to bring it up here for types of shading. Look at that. Would you look at that? The 45-degree angles for the most part. Not quite, but right here there is. It swoops out a little bit, but not a lot. Hit the curves here. We're getting the variable curves on the anatomy of this individual. Even here on Jesus's back calf muscles. I think this is a cool piece. Would I hang it in my house? No. I don't. I don't love that. I really don't. I don't love that. I don't think I'm supposed to. It's a depiction of hell. But yeah, here's another architectural piece that I think is just also annoys me because it's stunning. Little sunbeam thing here, little star beam. I think it's a nativity scene. We see this is interesting to me because he could do this. Obviously, the technical precision is insane. It could be spaced together evenly. But we're seeing like a wood grain effect here that I really like. We're seeing flickering the lights. To me, it seems here I like so much how the unevenness, slight unevenness, and slight curves of it makes this sort of wood grain, stone grain effect. It's very, to me, this balances being organic and being geometric at the same time, and I really like this. This is really cool. We're seeing these swoops here. I think this is really cool. Oh my God. This is my favorite of the architectural pieces. Oh my God. Oh my God, I love this piece so much. I saved this. I posted this immediately into a group. This is absolute geometry porn to me. I love this. We're getting these, this immaculate tree. Immaculate. I don't even talk about the tree. It's beautiful. Obviously, it's beautiful. And these organic curves. But look at the buildings. It is so grid paper. It is so geometric. We're seeing such an even weight of lines and the spacing, the thicknesses across all of these buildings. Um, Ooh, look at that. 45-degree angle, 45-degree angle. Remember that earlier piece we were looking at? I think it was like a bunch of skeletons marching. We looked at the rafters, we looked at all the different angles, and I colored them in a bunch of different colors. Similar situation here where we are getting all these different ones, but look at this. Look at how the intersection of those 45-degree angles made little bricks, little angled bricks. Now, would the bricks be angled? No, they made little angled bricks. It's crazy. It's crazy. We talked about how the 45-degree angles of the lines can go over multiple elements. Obviously this background, this foreground are different elements, but it's a very similar, not quite, but similar alignment. And that's just so easy on the eyes. And all of them are just beautifully done differently here. And I want to remind you that these black ones here weren't drawn over it. This had to be left uncarved. So this is beautiful to me. I would absolutely have this as like a framed photo in a bathroom or something. This is definitely hang in my house material. I would not have the patience to carve this. This is just stunning to me. And it's not even like a biblical scene full of angels and Jesus as a lot of them were. So it's not even a glory of that. It's just an homage to these architectural delights to me. It's not even that fancy. I think I'm the only one losing my mind over this. I personally, me as Conrad, love this piece. Look at this. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Right? Right. Now, I want to remind you, if you were drawing this with a pen and pencil, let me get my pen out here. If you're drawing this with a pen and pencil, you would think, okay, I draw the lines, it's not too hard, it's not too hard, whatever, whatever. And if this was like an etching, I think it's the same way. But if this is a woodcut, this is a completely damn different thing. The way you'd have to do is you take a knife and you carve out this white piece here. You have to take a little tiny knife and you're only carving out that piece. Now, if this is a woodcut, which I'm 99% sure it is, you have to go into the knife and you have to carve out all those pieces. Carve out just that. Because the black part's the part that get ink. You know how much time this would take me? Oh my God, but it turned out so good. I need to get past this before I get obsessed. All right. Whew, calm down for a minute. Let me have a sip. Oh, let me get a sip of my drink. It's a margarita, by the way. Usually it's red wine or coffee, but I wanted one singular margarita this time around. It's a mango margarita. Let's get into not a technique, but a motif I really like. These halo sunbeam rays. Just a fun one. This is not a halo sunbeam thing. This is just around a lamp. I didn't look into this piece, but maybe it was like a skill practice thing. I often see these beams around like a saint or Jesus or a star or something. This is around a lamp. This is cool to me, the little dragon lamp. I'm just showing you what that effect is, where it's all beams out from one place. This is usually how I see this kind of stuff done. Um, Beaming around a holy figure. I love the variable stuff here. The light effect is so cool. Now the theme, of course, we're talking about lighting, not just shading for the I Did a Thing Trimaris challenge. I just love the lighting. Here, this one's so fun. This is the St. James or Sin Jim or whatever the British call it. I love his little Gordon's sail, Gordon's fisherman hat. And we're getting here this density of the rays beaming out. I don't like love the light effect here as much as I did in the previous piece in the previous slide, but it doesn't seem light to me as much. But I love the density there. He's got a nice warm smile and look to him. He's a friendly little traveler guy, very fun. And the sunbeams, they're close together, they're different. They're in the same direction. We're doing different stuff. Close together, different ones, and we're getting these are sprinkles. I like the variety here, smaller sprinkles. This one, very fun too as well. Here we got this god probably up here. I don't know what's going on here. I don't even look at this. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I didn't analyze that, but just this god here. The sunbeams, little speckles, then the sunbeams, little rays. This one's fun. This one's also got little rays. They're all even. There's no speckles. It's all the same thickness of line all around, same distance. It's fun. Those are stigmata, by the way. This one I really like. This one's different. As opposed to the lines being left, they carved out the light for this one. This, I'm guessing Jesus Last Supper or something like that. I've got it written down somewhere. I gotta go look that up and give you better information. Don't get mad at me if I'm wrong. But let's talk about the light here. Instead of see how the lines are remained over here on the shading? It's the inverse here. Technical, beautiful, love it, love it, love it. A little bit different than the other ones, love it. This is a fun honorable mention. He's a little sun guy, little fun sun guy happening here. Oh, and that little fun goopy sun guy, crucifixion scene. They keep doing this in period Renaissance art. They keep making like a very somber, normal crucifixion scene. It's a pretty normal one. And put some goofy element. What I personally feel this piece would have been a lot more grounded if I'm just so distracted right now. Here's a nice one here. Got a little lamb goat situation. I don't I'm blanking on my Catholic terms here right now. This has got to be some sort of Christ revelations thing. I'm honestly forgetting. Don't worry about the subject matter. Let's talk about the lines. We are seeing direct lines, but they're not just lines. They're V shapes. It goes around their V shapes. And we see here this halo of pretty similar length of lines. Angels are having them here. These V shapes, more V-shaped star stuff. It's these V shapes, but smaller. This one I'm really fond of. This one is a pretty classical Pieta one. I found this piece very charming. I actually did it myself. It was my first recreation. I did in a soft block, and I was frustrated by how hard it was to do in a soft block. So I'm not going to show that one here, but I really like this one a lot. It's fun. We see some of these carved. This is a Durer one actually. And you can tell it's Durer because he's doing this really heavy attention to detail in the thighs, and the lines are good, and he's flexing off a bunch of styles. But this piece, you think, oh, maybe it's the size of an index card. Wrong. It's the size of a postage stamp. This is a photo from when I went and visited the piece in person at the National Gallery of Art. I saw it online, I carved it, and then I hit them up and said, yeah, I gotta see it. I gotta see it. So when I was the curator in the print city room, they let me see it. And it's so small. It's so small. But there it is in person. I love it. All right, I think this is the last section of my presentation here, but I wanted to talk about some rarer pieces that I almost never see. If you find these, please send them to me. I love them. They're pieces where it's kind of in inverse, where we're working mostly heavily in the negative space instead of the carved out space. So instead of we're carving lines, we're carving the opposite of that. So this one here, we're carving out. If this was a Durer piece, which it's not, you would see the outline of these vines. A lot of these are later German ones would see the outlines. This is the opposite. Instead of carving outlines of anything, he carved just away. This is all negative space in a sense. Okay, they're all carved away negative, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. This was a lot easier style for me to carve when I first started. Because here, remember when I was talking about earlier how they would have to carve out the diamond shapes in that architectural stuff earlier when I was showing you that cool one? Here it's the difference here. It's the opposite. Instead of the diamonds being carved out, the diamonds are left. So he's just carving these lines here. It's way easier than carving the diamonds. But aside from whether it's easier or not, I like it. I like this heavy darkness. I think it's very fun. This one here, heavy dark space. We're not really doing any line work. We're just carving that kind of stuff. Although we see some line work here, but a lot of that. This one, love this one. Pretty similar one. We are carving out the lines, but the background is very, very dark. This is again, presumably St. Michael or somebody like that, chasing them out of the Garden of Eden. Something I rarely see these dark ones, but usually for scenes of sadder or grimmer or more scolding biblical pieces. That Christ ascending to hell one from earlier we had it. We have one here. This one here, this is a depiction of witches, mid 1500s Germany, I think. But this is a very, very different style. I actually don't think this is a woodcut. I think this is sort of etching or engraving. I think that I misplaced now looking at it. But never mind that. Maybe it is a woodcut. I'll have to check afterwards. I don't remember actually. But it's a very darker piece here. We're seeing mostly heavy on the darkness. Again, it's depicting these witches. They're supposed to be evil, so of course it's dark. This piece, I don't remember what she is on top of my head. This gorgeous fragment. I would hang this as a fragment as a giant poster in my room. I love this. I love this. It's this very lace-like dark image, this somber lady here. It's a shame we only have a recovered part of this piece. I think this is just beautiful. And here we go. This is a very irregular one here where we only carved out the lines. So instead of leaving the lines, as we saw in often, here just carving out those lines. See? It's the inverse of technique. Whoever Byrne is, very proud of his name. But also, very, very, or maybe it's a guy named Burn because it's a bear. I don't know. I'm getting distracted here, but a sexy Lands Connect booty. Okay, it's fun. It's funny. They really went crazy on the booty cheeks here, but the carving style is, look at this. Look at this knife. Instead of leaving the lines of the knife, they carved out the outline of the knife, and the knife is left in dark. This is a very, very rare style. I haven't found really much at all that look like this. If you find ones like this, please send them to me and make it a collection. I love this, but it's way darker. Most of it's dark. Now, I wish I'd put a Durer one next to this so you would see the contrast of standard one, but this is really cool to me. I like these darker ones. We're gonna call this the Goth Lance Connect ass. Really, really fun. Again, this would make a cool poster in a house, I think. And for the last bit here, I wanted to get into some engravings and etchings. Now, I visited, again, the National Guard Print University room a while ago, and while I wanted to focus mostly on woodcuts, the shading just was so fascinating to me. And a lot of these really cool diamond patterns you get, it was so cool seeing up close the magnifying glass the changes in this. Now, this isn't, most of these are mid 1600s, I believe. Engravings and etchings, combinations of the two mediums, I'm not going to distinguish for now. They were kind of overlapped. Some pieces had both going on, but I just wanted to flash in the future for a hot second and look at some gorgeous, gorgeous work here. All that beautiful stuff we saw leading up, it keeps evolving, and then 100 years we get this. We talked about those angles together. We talked about those 45s, the cross hatching. We've been over the cross hatching, but this is small. Those lines here, this is a similar callback to what we looked at. But look at that. Look at that. I was blown away by this like digital vector rendering level of quality here. This is insane. Look at that bicep. Look at how uniform this is. Just oh my God, this is incredible to me. Look at that. We're seeing different stuff here. I started seeing not just these diamonds, but these sort of triangle shapes, these waves, this really stuff here. Look at this. We also started getting these diamonds with these dots in the middle. And this isn't my specialty of art. I just thought this was gorgeous and beautiful. I just think it's so cool. Some of this is kind of woodcutty. You see the carryover, and some of it's not. I just think it's just stunning. Look at those diamonds. Now this piece here, again, this is not our woodcut period. This is much later. This was just breathtaking for me to see because, okay, crucifixion scene, whatever. But look at the background. Look at the background of the clouds. Okay, it's clouds, whatever, right? Not whatever. Oh my God, it's like a pointillism thing. Oh my God, I don't really know how engraving and etching work, but look at this. It's what is this? Every pixel is filled in differently. I couldn't wrap my head around this. This isn't a technique I know. I just wanted to include this kind of stuff to be like, my mind is blown by the woodcuts, and in 100 years it gets to this. This was just so cool that it created those. You zoom in, it's very pointillism in a way. And you zoom out, and it was those clouds. That's just so cool. Again, this is like I think this was 1630 or 1670. I forget. I pulled it up before the presentation, but whew, later stuff there. And with that, we are done. So if you managed to stick around for these 42 minutes, thank you. If you've taken up any interest at all in this art form, thank you. This is one of my most massive source of joy in my life. I am just consistently overwhelmed by the joy of how cool this art form is. So anyone who takes part in that or humors me and lets me talk about it, thank you. Again, if you want to talk about this more, my email is conradeinholst@gmail.com, but really, really hit me up in person. I prefer adding some emotions to my voice, as you can tell here. But thank you for sticking around. Thank you for enjoying block carving, and talk to you later. Conrad out.